Isn't it funny how our very first Cognomovement session was really about manifesting, Liz?
It really is. It's weird. I mean, I know that when you first did that session with your friend, and we'll have you tell that story, you weren't intending it to be a manifesting story. Weren't you just kind of trying to help get him out of the discomfort that he was in?
Yeah. It was really interesting. So, yeah, the idea, right? The idea of Cogno movement was, what if we had a ball with chakra symbols on it, and what if I had the person throw the ball? This is just an idea, and focused on an issue. And so this is the actual ball. My wife actually made it. We printed it on the printer, and then she had to sew it all together. Anyway, I have a friend here in San Diego, and it was really funny because he said, "Listen, can you take me to the airport?" And I said, "Sure, but I got this little thing I want you to try." And he says, "Okay, great." Well, I got there and we had 15 minutes before we had to get in the car to go do it. And I've known this guy since I was 18, and well, a little older than that today. But anyway, I just asked him, "Listen, I don't need to know what it is. I just focus on the big problem in your life." I knew there was something. And we started doing this process, right? I just had him to focus on it, and I had him to catch the ball and say the color, that he saw. And we did this for, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes. And all of a sudden, it was like his belly button got hot so bad.
Let me ask you something really quick. So I want you to finish telling that story, but before you do, what did you think was going to happen? So you've got this funny little idea, this ball, and you knew it would create some change. So let's tell everybody that you knew it was going to create some change, but what exactly did you expect it to do?
Well, I had the idea. The idea was that it might create change, but what I did not expect was the visceral physical reaction in his body. Like I didn't know if it would work, and when he started to sweat profusely, and I mean, like, he's sweating bullets, I'm as dry as a whistle, and it's just as funny as can be because, I mean, literally, this thing's cotton inside, right? It's just like, and he is just sweating so bad. And then, so to me, that was laughable, right? Because we've known each other forever, I could laugh about it. But it got even more intense, maybe 3-4 minutes in, where his heart was he said, "I'm going to have a heart attack. My heart, it hurts." And I was like, yeah, it was ridiculous.
So he was just focusing on whatever discomfort he was currently experiencing. And you didn't even know what it was at the time, right?
I had no idea.
Focus on some discomfort that you were having. And little did you know it was physical, because that's what happens. It's physical, but it was also kind of an existential, financial, whole life crisis, right?
Yeah, actually, yeah, it was a fear that he had about the future. I didn't know that at the time.
Right. So
But
he's in there just sweating his buns off, and all you're doing is tossing this crazy little ball left and right. Then what happened?
well, his heart started hurting, like literally, like he was like, "I'm going to have a heart attack." And I knew just enough to say, "You know what? I don't think so. Just keep going." And a few minutes later, he started choking. I said, he's like, "I can't breathe. I can't breathe." And I said, he was no longer sweating, and his heart, I said, "How's your heart?" He says, I don't feel anything." But he literally couldn't hardly breathe. And then a few minutes later, it left, and he felt this piercing pain in his head, and then he felt it in the top of his head, and then whoosh, it was gone. And anyway, it was unbelievable because on the ride to the airport, I said, oh my God, what happened? And he's like, I don't know. The problem that I had was like the biggest problem in my life. And I can't feel it now. I can't connect with it. And this whole thing in my body was just some sort of bizarre thing that came up through my body. So yeah, it was weird.
It's so interesting because how many times have you had that, Bill? I know I've had it where in a particular moment, a problem that you have is it's all consuming. Your body hurts, your brain hurts, you're uncomfortable, kind of in a lot of misery, even though on the surface you look normal. But if you got a problem going on in your life, it seems like it takes every ounce of energy that you have. And then for it to be poof, just gone, where you don't feel that way anymore. That was a pretty cool manifestation in itself. And that was kind of just the first one. So it's kind of funny as we look back on it now, it wasn't about manifestation. We didn't know it was about getting somebody out of discomfort, out of that pattern of physical, mental, emotional discomfort. But what happened next, I think, is the thing that's so cool. Because as it turns out, your friend really was worried about his own retirement, right?
Yeah, I didn't know about that until 6 months later. And they had him and his wife had come over to the house. I hadn't seen him, since I took him to the airport. And they came over and I was like, hey, how's it going? And the wife was like, oh, yeah, things are outstanding. We purchased these 2 houses in Utah, and we're in San Diego, and we purchased these 2 houses, and day one, positive cash flow with absolute minimal amount down. And they got into a transaction that the properties were both, 2 of them, 2 houses paying themselves off, already rented. Not only that, but they had this other part of their property in San Diego that they turned into like a little, apartment rental casita thing. And that was bringing in income and paying off all the debt on the regular house they lived in, which was like a complete shift. And the wife said to me, this all happened after you did that session with him. And I said, oh my gosh, what was the session about? And he said, oh my gosh, well, I was going to, I'm coming up on retirement, and I was going to, buy a trailer and move out to the desert. I was going to be like tumbleweeds and whiskey, just screen doors in the wind, one of those type of existences until he dies. That was his vision. This is just how it's going to be for me, and, but fast forward now, it's been many years since all that happened, that very first Cognomovement session. And the wonderful thing is I got to see the full scope of what happened. He ended up like wealthy. And he retired, and he's like, I got more money than I know what to do with now. It's traveling, and instead of being this financial prisoner living in the desert in a hovel, he's now traveling the world with his wife. They have all these resources. It was just, what a manifestation, and it was so nice to be alive to see it.
Yeah, you know what I think is so interesting about it? I know that people are like, how the heck did that happen? Well, as we learned later, it's a natural side effect of a Cognomovement session because it gets the body out of that misery. We just talked about, when you have a problem, all you can do is run the cycle of how bad it is. The body hurts, and so the brain makes up what to think about that hurt, and round and round. So what we didn't know then, we do know now, that it actually allows the body to have positive automated responses. It opens up the brain instantly to creativity, ideas, and inspiration. So we can say it was a manifestation, and that's true. But a big part of that for your friend was now all of a sudden his brain was looking for opportunity. He could focus on opportunity versus, the tumbleweeds out in the desert and the
Yeah.
discomfort in his body, right?
Right. You know, he could, I love the way you put that, Liz. Ideas and inspiration. And what his wife said was that for years she had been telling him, we could do this. We can go buy houses and the positive cash flow day one, and then, this will solve it. He could not hear it. Literally, his perspective was so shut down in fear that simply wasn't going to work and wasn't a true possibility. So all of a sudden, the blinders came off, perspective opened up. Literally in his physical brain, I can see now. And this is one of the amazing things about, this was the beginning, not an isolated incident. This is all day, every day in relationships, finances, everything.
It's so true. And I want to say that, when we talk about manifestation, a lot of people think of things just like poof, instantly happening. And that does happen. We'll share a story about that in a minute. But I want to stay on how important this is because, when you're in that state where you feel terrible, and you're always saying you can't think greater than you feel bad about everything. You physically don't feel good because it's your physical body that tells you, when your emotions are off. It's your physical body that's drained of energy. It's like having a vampire suck in your blood. You just feel bad and you can't think. You're not in the right mood. You don't have clarity of mind. But when you do, what you choose to manifest is so different than what you would choose to manifest in that terrible state. I'm sure your friend, his only hope was winning the lotto. That was his only hope, probably,
Yeah.
But immediately after, what came online is all the amazing things he could do with his life that were actually available now. So that's one form of manifestation that's really, really cool. Think about this, you guys. What would you choose to manifest if you already felt good? When you feel good, what you choose to manifest is way bigger than what you try to manifest before. So, but some of the other things, let's move forward to some of those pop into existence manifestations.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's been so many. There was one woman who really wanted a very specific car. It was a pearl white Tesla with black interior, Model 3. And that's exactly what it had to be. And we had worked with her on all of her fears, right? You think, oh my gosh, if I just want a new car, it's just a new car, right? Well, what a lot of people, ourselves included, didn't really understand at the beginning of this, that there were stacks of fears. There are so many possible fears, like, what are my friends going to think of me? What is, the fear of insurance, the fear of like a Tesla is like my range, and is that a proven car? Is it going to fall apart? So many. I mean, it was kind of an unlimited number of scenarios. Do I deserve it? I've been bad in my life. I can't have something nice like that.
Right.
All
Did I
of these
suffer enough
things.
for it?
You haven't
Enough?
suffered. You need to suffer a little bit more.
Yeah.
And anyway, when we cleared all those things away, pop, she came home, and in her driveway was a white Tesla, black interior, Model 3 with a bow on it.
Ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
I mean, absolutely
Ridiculous.
ridiculous. And the funny thing is, Bill, that I think is funny about this is that was our intention in the first place with Cognomovement, is to get rid of the fear. We really just wanted people to feel better, to not have that automatic fear loop running between the brain and the body. That was it. But what we realized literally instantly with the first session and all the sessions afterwards, that the world gets out of your way when your body's no longer holding fear, pain, trauma, even disease. When you feel better, you think better, and your life just turns out better. What we discovered later on was that the body's actually sending a signal. That process, that automated response between the brain and the body, is actually literally, you guys, sending out an electromagnetic signal onto the planet and just finding its match. So when instantly those were gone, those fear, the pain, the trauma, the discomfort, the manifestation just walked right in the door again and again. Relationship ones.
Oh,
This is the most fascinating things. Early on at one of our seminars, we discovered that people would be working on a topic, a family member, a spouse. And during that session, or immediately after, they would get a call or an email where that person in their life that was a problem before was now apologizing, or had mended their ways, or had literally changed the thing that needed to be changed for the relationship to be resolved. Incredible. We've had those instant manifestations that are real estate deals, businesses selling again and again and again instantly. The body, through Cognomovement, lets go of that automated response, and the manifestation walks in the door. It's crazy.
well, what's crazy about this is when you're in the wonderful position with me and Liz, because we get to see these things firsthand, working with people firsthand, or get the stories from people who are doing Cogno movement on their own. And then we get the stories of what happened. But the unlikelihood of the things happening, we're talking about people that have been in relationships, let's say with a parent that's narcissistic, very abusive and self-centered for 40 years. And then literally they get done with the session, and on their drive home, the phone is ringing, and that person is calling, apologizing, admitting everything that they had done. It's like not very likely, that would be happening ever, right? Because it never happened for 40 years.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it did. We called it, we had to coin a term for it because it's literally happens every single week, is we call it the Cognomovement relationship effect. There's this quantum effect that happens when you no longer feel the way you do.
It's really true. And it's so sweet. Some of the ones where people just fall in love, immediately over again, because that wall that was in their way, the wall of resentment, fear, those reactions that really are probably not even part of your relationship, but part of the relationship before, or relationship with parents, or relationship from school, they get carried forward into our lives and our bodies really now. And we think they're about what's happening right this second, and they're not. So when a person uses a Cogno movement session and that is simply gone, it's simply collapsed from the body, they're free to be in love with their significant other again. And it's just the sweetest thing we've ever seen. I mean, it's one of those things we absolutely adore, but it's possible, and very easily possible, because it prevents that pattern from just proliferating in your life again and again and again.
Liz, you said something really important there, and that is, the effect of this on a person's body. Like, the what I hold against my significant other, my mother, my father, whatever, what it does to our physical body, we didn't even realize what was happening. And I want to share with everybody this test result. Now, this test result here is the biowell. And the biowell shows us the actual balance of every organ in your body and the amount of electrical charge it has in it. So this is an amazing thing that we discovered. Now, this report right here, down the side right here is the amount of electricity that's in all of the different organs in the body. There's 31 different organs down here, your pituitary gland, your thyroid, you name it, hypothalamus, all of this across here. Now, the ones that are lit up are the ones that are out of balance. And this is the electrical charge in joules. A joule is like a calorie of electricity. So this particular woman had come in and said to me, I'm going to get a divorce from my husband, but I just can't stand the way I feel. I just want to get the divorce, but I don't want to have this hatred anymore. So this is what I'm going to do is I want you to help me to process all my anger and hatred. But I've got these 3 kids, and we've all had it with him and the whole thing. And so she ends up doing a session. And we end up processing all of her hatred and anger towards her husband. And she felt like he wasn't being helpful and that sort of thing. She had 3 kids. Now, these 3 kids are small, all under the age of 12. So this is one heck of a decision to do this. So we ended up processing out all of her anger and doing this Cognomovement process. Here's afterwards. This is, look at here, that how much more voltage was in her body. See, look at this, before and then after, before, after, and everything went into balance, all except for one. So the most amazing thing about this was that it was like, what I hold against another, I hold against myself. Here's one. This is a before right here. You can see all the different places that the energy is not, and then after a Cognomovement session. So it actually allows you to become more you, to have all of your energy. Not only can you have more energy, but you actually feel better in the process.
It's really an amazing thing. So you guys just saw images and Bill said the word voltage, and that's actually what we're talking about. In that first session, we had no idea. It took us years to discover that this is what was actually happening. The body was no longer utilizing all of its energy to run this stuff like fear, pain, discouragement, trauma, stress. The body was now free to use all that energy for ideas and inspiration, creativity, focus, great mood, even the physical stamina to get stuff done. We've had people actually do a session with Cognomovement. Some of them were free sessions online, just a 15, 20-minute session. And then they went forward to write the book that they always dreamed of writing. So what does it take to do that? Focus, the mood, the willingness to do it, the brain power to organize it in your mind, to think it through, to figure out how to get it published. That's what happened to a person when they got all the energy back after a Cognomovement session.
Yeah. It's like your literal brain opens up. It's scientifically proven, neurologically proven that when you're in fear, some derivative of fear, right? Your brain shuts down. There's only a certain amount of possibilities Just like my friend, what's the possibility? I'll tell you what the possibility is. It's a trailer in the desert. That's what it is.
That's the one, the only
That's it.
one.
That's the only possibility. Well, today there's more possibilities. And that is the most amazing thing about the people that continue on and exercise their entire system with Cognomovement is better brain, better life.
Well, I think what's really important about this is that in those early discoveries, we knew that we couldn't just change a person in the moment. Because lots of times you get fantastic ideas, an epiphany, somebody says something that sparks some imagination and you feel amazing.
Yeah.
But by the next day, you're back on the ground again. I always say, out laying in the middle of the road. And we needed for that not to happen. We needed to find a way to change what was going on in a person's body. We discovered that the nervous system was the place to do this, the place between the brain and the body, your power lines. We needed to get those to rewire themselves, to stop putting attention on the stress and the pain and the disappointment and the trauma, and put its attention, the body's actual electromagnetic voltage, into basically your happiness response.
Yeah, an automatic,
Yeah.
an automatic happy response, right?
An automatic feel-good response, an automatic I feel like doing the thing that needs done today or that I want to do today. So many people will want to do something again and again for 20 years and they never do it because they don't really have the voltage to do it. Their body's busy spending that on trauma and drama and fear. Well, what Bill and I really discovered together was to create a permanent change in the nervous system. So that happiness response, that automated happy response, is there every time you need it. It just shows up. It is who you become. But beyond that, what happens is, let's say a person comes in and they're really trying to get rid of their biggest trauma in their life. I had somebody who the issue was they'd been spanked at 1 year old so that they didn't wet their diaper. That was a big problem. We worked on that, but what happened next is everything changed. It's not just one thing. It wasn't just the relationship that changed, but his money changed. His workflow changed. What he got done around the house, things like cleaning out the garage, became possible. So when we talk about manifestation, in terms of also clearing your trauma, the world opens up. It's like I said, the world just gets the heck out of your way.
That automatic response is so important. For us, we're able to figure something out, and this is really amazing. And that is that your subconscious exploits your physical body to control you. You have all heard that your subconscious is responsible for 95% of what's going on in your life. Ever ask yourself how it did it? It's its dirty little secret. It utilizes your nervous system to create a feeling, and you get a feeling and then you act according to the feeling, right? I feel angry, so that's what I'm going to do. I feel jealous. This is what I'm going to. I feel lethargic. I feel stuck. That's what I'm going to do. These are automated responses from the subconscious. That's how it controls your reality. It's not something nebulous out there like, oh, where is the subconscious? It's right in your body.
Yeah, you know what's funny, Bill? It's funny and it's really not funny. That what's true and not true can change in a matter of seconds. The thing that you absolutely believe is the way it is and there's no other way it could be, after a Cognomovement session or even just a couple of little processes, that whole idea can be collapsed and different. I was talking to a young woman the other day who once a month dumps her boyfriend. Once a month, his breathing bothers her, his face is wrong. Every little thing he does is wrong. Well, now she just realized it's a pattern in her hormonal system. So that the nervous system is using to tell her brain he's all wrong. The rest of the month, she loves him dearly. So this is why I say that really what we believe is true or not true, what's working and not working in our life can turn on a dime. And I think that is so wonderful about what this system can do for people. Not only can it change what's happening in their life long term, but it can change what's happening in their life instantly. So you feel better.
Yeah.
So you have the new ideas, the new fresh thoughts to work your life differently, for everything just to be differently, and for you to be who you really want to be.
Yeah. Feeling better and having the life you want.
That's what it's all about. And I think that's for everybody, listening to us today. You want the things. You want the car, you want the boat, you want the good boyfriend, but you also just want to feel good. And what most people don't realize is you need to feel good first. But that's the hard part. What Bill and I have done is created a way that you can choose to feel good when you want to, because now you know how it works. You know how to change your nervous system, to change what you're doing automatically, to change what your physical body is doing, to change what your mind is doing, to change what your mood is doing, change what your creative thoughts are doing automatically. So it's not a trying, it's not an effort.
That's
It's really a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Imagine this. All of those automatic responses when you get up in the morning and don't feel good. Imagine if you were in control of the automatic responses, and the automatic response was whatever you want it to be for you now. Like, it's no longer like I'm fighting, I should meditate and I'm going to really try to be nice and I'm going to try and love myself and feel good. Well, how about if you just did?
Yeah.
And you weren't
Yeah.
trying. Like, people like that. If you're listening to this, somebody whose default mode, right? Their automatic response is joy and positivity and productive and fun, right? That could be yours. You can do it too. It's an automatic response.
Yeah. So people ask us a lot of time, and it's kind of been the hardest thing for us to talk about is, who can use it and what it's for. And it's for everyone. And yet that's really a broad statement, but athletes are using it because they can change the energy in their body. Athletes need energy. They can change their flexibility. They can change the way their body moves simply because they know how to make the nervous system do what they want. Artists do it. We've recently helped someone use both hands, not just one, become ambidextrous, but artists, writers, authors of all kinds of music, musicians need that creativity flowing all the time. They need to be in the zone, so they use it. Therapists use it to help their clients change those automated responses, getting rid of trauma and stress. They do. People are doing that for themselves, getting rid of issues, issues with food, issues with money. And then, of course, people are using it to manifest, all because they understand how to get their electricity, their electromagnetic, hormonal, light, chemistry moving in a direction that they choose instead of the one that their body has been using by default. I think maybe that's the simplest way to explain it. What do you
That
think?
is a new automated response.
Yeah, so I think, if you guys are curious about what we do, and I know some of you are new to Bill and I, really, that's the best way. Everything we do helps you change what happens automatically for yourself. And if that ends up in an amazing, incredible manifestation, well, that's just icing on the cake. But for me, that energy, that idea, that focus, that mood whenever I want it, I think that's the real meat and the real juice. And I think the manifestation comes right out of that.
Yeah, it does.
It does. So we have, our basic training program. We'll do all of that for you, create manifestations. Our Cogno Quantum, which is a manifesting program, helps you just get manifesting on steroids. It helps you for what to do after. You've cleared all this stuff out, and now you're manifesting from a place of real joy and happy. It teaches you what to do about that. Our practitioner program helps people zero down and know how to use this with other people, getting them the help they need, their family, their friends, clients, schools, businesses, and the list goes on and on.
Funnest thing you could ever do, be a practitioner.
Oh my God, it changes your life incredibly. But I think that's it. If you're wondering what we do, it's about that, and everything we do helps you change at the nervous system level up and create your life from there. I think that'll really help people understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Gosh, you guys, we'd love to have you become part of our family. Please reach out to us. We'd love to share more with you about this. Cognomovement.com is the place. Got 2 free ebooks that you can download and find out more. And all those programs that you can do for yourself at home, in your house, or live with Bill and I. It's all here. Join us. We'd love to have you.
Thank you.